Welcome back to Be Inspired from Life. Let me tell you something that can change the way you carry yourself through every storm life throws at you. Most people are exhausted not because life is hard, but because they're fighting the wrong battles. They're losing sleep over things they were never meant to control, other people's opinions, the outcome of situations, the past, the future. And every time you wrestle with those things, you give away your power. Here's the truth Stoicism teaches us. There are things in this world that belong to you, and there are things that don't. Your thoughts belong to you. Your choices belong to you. Your effort belongs to you. Your character belongs to you. But the moment you start trying to control how others behave, how life unfolds, or how the world responds to your effort, you step into frustration. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Think about how much energy you waste worrying about what might happen, instead of focusing on what you can do right now. You can't control whether you succeed today, but you can control how hard you show up. You can't control whether people understand you, but you can control whether you speak with honesty and purpose. And once you truly understand that, something powerful happens. You stop begging life for permission to feel at peace. Control is not about force, it's about responsibility. When you take full ownership of your inner world, nothing outside of you has the power to break you. Life may knock you down, but it can't tell you who you are. People may doubt you, but they can't decide your discipline. Circumstances may shift overnight, but they don't get to steal your integrity. See, the strongest people in the room aren't loud, they're calm, they're steady, they're grounded. Why? Because they're not reacting to every opinion, every setback, every delay. They're rooted in something deeper. They understand that peace isn't found in controlling the world. It's found in mastering yourself. When you stop chasing control over the uncontrollable, you reclaim your focus, and focus is power. Focus allows you to move forward while others are frozen by fear. Focus keeps you disciplined when emotions are screaming for shortcuts. Focus builds the kind of mental toughness that doesn't crumble when plans fall apart. So the next time life tests you, ask yourself one simple question: is this within my control? If it is, act with courage and discipline. If it's not, release it without regret. Because the moment you stop fighting reality, you stop breaking yourself, and that's when you become truly unbreakable. Let's talk about something that takes down more dreams than failure ever could: unchecked emotion. Not emotion itself, because feeling is human. Anger, fear, disappointment, doubt, those are natural. But letting those emotions drive the wheel? That's where people lose their direction. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become cold or numb. It asks you to become conscious, to pause long enough to decide who's in control, you or the moment. See, most people react first and think later. Something goes wrong and they explode. Someone disrespects them and they rush to prove something. Fear shows up and they retreat. But discipline lives in the pause. That small space between what happens and how you respond, that's where your power is hiding. When you learn to step into that space, you stop being a prisoner of impulse and start becoming the architect of your actions. Reason doesn't kill emotion, it guides it. Think about that. When emotions run wild, they distort reality. One bad moment feels like a ruined life. One mistake feels like failure forever. But reason steps in and says, slow down, breathe, look again. It reminds you that this moment is temporary, that setbacks are information, not identity. And when reason leads, emotion follows with purpose instead of chaos. Strong people don't avoid pressure, they manage it. They feel anger, but they don't let it turn into destruction. They feel fear, but they don't let it paralyze them. They feel pain, but they don't let it harden them. They train their minds the same way athletes train their bodies, through repetition, awareness, and self-control. That's mental discipline. And it doesn't show up overnight. It's built decision by decision, moment by moment. You ever notice how calm people can make powerful decisions under fire? That's not luck, that's mastery. They've practiced responding instead of reacting. They've learned that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to obey every emotion just because it knocked on the door. When you master your inner dialogue, the world loses its ability to shake you. Chaos can be loud, but it doesn't have to be inside you. And when your mind is steady, your vision stays clear. You choose long-term strength over short-term relief. You choose dignity over drama. You choose growth over ego. Because in the end, mental unbreakability isn't about never feeling. It's about never being owned by what you feel. When you command your emotions, instead of being commanded by them, you don't just survive pressure, you rise above it every single time. Now let's talk about the thing most people spend their entire lives running from: pain, discomfort, failure, loss, the moments that shake you and make you question yourself. Society teaches us to avoid pain at all costs, to numb it, escape it, pretend it shouldn't exist. But Stoicism teaches something far more powerful. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the instructor. Every strong person you admire has been shaped by something that hurt, not something comfortable, not something easy. Pressure builds strength, resistance builds muscle, and adversity builds character. The mind works the same way. When hardship shows up, it's not asking to destroy you, it's asking to develop you. The question is whether you're willing to learn instead of retreat. Most people break because they take pain personally. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" instead of asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, you take back control. You realize that suffering isn't proof that you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it's proof that you're being tested for the next level. Pain strips away illusions. It shows you what really matters. It reveals your habits, your weaknesses, your excuses. And that exposure, as uncomfortable as it is where growth begins. You don't build mental toughness in moments of ease. You build it when you stay standing while everything inside you wants to quit. Think about it. Comfort never forced anyone to evolve. Comfort keeps you small. Pain demands expansion. It forces you to confront yourself honestly. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches endurance. And if you allow it, it teaches wisdom. That's why those who have suffered deeply often carry a quiet strength. They've been through fire, and instead of being burned, they were refined. This doesn't mean you seek pain or glorify suffering. It means when pain arrives, and it will, you don't waste it. You don't let it turn into bitterness. You don't let it harden your heart or shrink your spirit. You stay present. You stay disciplined. You extract the lesson and keep moving forward stronger than before. There's a reason storms don't last forever, but the strength you build in them does. Every setback adds a layer. Every loss deepens your resilience. Every challenge faced with courage sharpens your mind. And one day you realize that what once terrified you no longer has power over you. Because the moment you stop fearing pain, you stop being controlled by it. And that's when hardship no longer breaks you. It builds you into something unshakable. Now, let's talk about a practice that sounds uncomfortable at first. But once you understand it, it becomes one of the greatest sources of peace you'll ever know. Most people are afraid of loss, afraid of things ending, afraid of the future not turning out the way they imagined. And that fear quietly controls their decisions. Stoicism doesn't tell you to live in fear. It teaches you to face it on your own terms. Negative visualization isn't about expecting the worst or living in pessimism. It's about preparing the mind so it doesn't collapse when life changes. When you occasionally imagine losing what you have, your position, your comfort, your health, even the people you love, you stop taking today for granted. Gratitude stops being a word and becomes a state of mind. You begin to treat moments with more respect, more presence, more care. See, when you assume something will last forever, you grow careless. But when you understand that everything is temporary, you become intentional, you listen more deeply, you love more fully, you waste less time on petty frustrations, you stop postponing joy, and in that awareness, fear loses its grip because you've already rehearsed the reality that nothing is guaranteed. This practice builds resilience because it removes shock from the equation. Most people don't break because something bad happens. They break because they weren't mentally prepared for it. They believed life owed them certainty. Negative visualization quietly trains you to accept change before it arrives. So when it does, you don't panic, you adjust. It also brings freedom. When you're no longer clinging to outcomes, you stop living in constant anxiety. You understand that happiness isn't dependent on things staying the same. It's dependent on your ability to adapt with grace. That's mental strength. That's emotional maturity. And here's the paradox. By acknowledging loss, you actually enjoy life more. You smile more. You appreciate small victories. You find peace in ordinary days because you're no longer asleep to the miracle of having something right now. You're awake. This mindset doesn't make you cold, it makes you grounded. It doesn't make you detached, it makes you grateful. It trains you to meet the future with steadiness instead of fear. And when challenges arrive, as they always do, you don't feel robbed. You feel prepared. Because when you've already made peace with impermanence, nothing life takes from you can take your strength. You don't fear the future. You face it standing tall, fully present, and completely unbreakable. Now let's talk about one of the heaviest chains people carry without even realizing it: the need for approval, the hunger to be liked, the fear of being misunderstood, the constant checking of how you're being perceived. That weight will wear you down faster than any failure ever could. Because the moment your self-worth is placed in someone else's hands, you give them the power to shake you. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. No matter how good you are, someone will doubt you. No matter how kind you are, someone will criticize you. No matter how disciplined you become, someone will misunderstand you. And if your confidence depends on applause, you'll never have peace. Stoicism teaches you to step off that unstable stage and build your foundation somewhere solid, within yourself. External validation is unreliable. It's loud one day and silent the next. It praises you when you succeed and disappears when you struggle. If you let it define you, you'll live like a performer instead of a leader, always adjusting, always explaining, always chasing the next nod of approval. That's not strength, that's exhaustion. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg to be seen. It's rooted in knowing who you are when nobody's watching. It's built by living according to your values, not by bending yourself into a shape that pleases the crowd. When your standards come from within, criticism loses its sting and praise loses its power. Think about how free you become when you stop needing permission to be yourself. You speak with honesty. You move with purpose. You make decisions based on principle, not popularity. And yes, that will make some people uncomfortable. But comfort was never the goal. Integrity was. Detachment from validation doesn't mean you ignore feedback or become arrogant. It means you choose wisely what you let shape you. You listen without surrendering your identity. You learn without losing your backbone. You respect others without abandoning yourself. The strongest people don't measure their worth by likes, titles, applause, or approval. They measure it by effort, discipline, and character, by whether they showed up when it was hard, by whether they stayed true when it would have been easier to blend in. And here's what happens when you stop chasing validation. You become unshakable. Insults don't derail you. Praise doesn't distract you. Success doesn't inflate you. Failure doesn't define you. You stand steady because your foundation is internal, not external. Because when your self-worth no longer depends on being accepted by the world, you gain the rare power to walk through it with your head high, your spirit intact, and your mind completely unbreakable. Now let's bring it home. After everything we've talked about, control, emotion, pain, loss, and self-worth, it all comes down to how you live when nobody is forcing you to. Mental strength isn't built in dramatic moments alone. It's built in the quiet choices you make every single day. The way you wake up, the way you carry yourself, the way you show up when there's no applause waiting. Stoicism teaches you to live each day with purpose, because time is the one thing you never get back. Not in a rushed way, not in fear, but with intention. You stop drifting through life and start steering it. You ask yourself, did I act with integrity today? Did I give my best effort? Did I choose discipline over comfort? Those questions shape a life that can withstand pressure. Discipline is freedom. That might sound backwards, but it's the truth. When you commit to daily structure, training your body, sharpening your mind, honoring your word. You stop being controlled by moods and impulses. You do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. And over time, that consistency builds a deep, unshakable confidence. You trust yourself because you've proven you can keep showing up. Purpose gives discipline direction. Without it, effort feels empty. But when you know what you stand for, every action matters, even the small ones. Especially the small ones. A disciplined life doesn't mean a perfect life, it means a meaningful one. You stumble, you adjust, you keep going. No excuses, no self-pity, just forward movement. And here's the part most people miss. Living with purpose also means remembering that today is not guaranteed. That awareness doesn't make you anxious, it makes you awake. You stop postponing growth. You stop waiting for the right moment. You speak truth now. You act with courage now. You live fully now. When you stack days like that, intentional days, you build a mind that doesn't crumble under PR. Sure, because you're not scrambling when life tests you. You've been training. You've been preparing. You've been living in alignment with who you claim to be. At some point you realize that nothing external can take away what you've built internally. Not setbacks, not losses, not criticism. You've already won the hardest battle, the one against distraction, comfort, and fear. And that's the final truth. When you live each day with discipline, purpose, and integrity, you don't just survive life's storms, you walk through them steady, grounded, and unbreakable. Thank you so much for watching. If this video inspired you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to be inspired from life for more motivational content. And remember, no matter where you are in life, you have the power to change your future. See you in the next video.